that's been said, and that's
Quite.
fine. If anybody has wants to talk to me about it, then they go and they can send me an email. All right, let me talk about Antarctica. It's very important. There were some pictures on the internet a few weeks back, and very recently, about a week ago, I got some intel telling me that they were genuine pictures. And then I was chatting to our good friend Wynne, who popped over very recently. And from his own sources, he'd actually been told that they were real. And what I wanted to say to people was, if you can get those pictures, have a look at them, because what you're looking at is a circular disc which looks like a structure, a building. It's actually between 25 and 30 miles across. It is an alien spacecraft. And what happened was, with this particular craft, was that some fault appeared on it. They couldn't get off, so they cannibalized all the parts they could and started to build outwards from the spacecraft. So they used the spacecraft and its engine as the powerhouse, to provide the power to supply energy for the city that they were building. I use the word city, that's quite a grand title, but basically they were building communities adjacent to the craft. So these pictures show that. Now, before Christmas, both the present Pope, the old Vice President from the old administration, Buzz Aldrin, the famous astronaut, and a number of other people all went to Antarctica to hold meetings. And of course, there was that interesting tweet from Buzz Aldrin saying it's terrible down there, or it's all evil down there. And that was because there was a deal being struck with one element of, we would trace these back to the Anunnaki. That's basically the line that we're looking at here. But then, of course, the deal all fell through in one aspect because Hillary Clinton did not become the president. This was the whole point. It was before, that they really thought they could perhaps nobble Trump before he was really, really effectively got his feet under the table. But he has got his feet under the table and he's not going anywhere. So any deals now are being done through Trump. And publicly Trump has said that he wants to create a very strong America. His advisors have told him it will take between 7 and 10 years to do that. But if he has access to exotic technologies, that's the term used in the White House, if he has access to exotic technologies, he can bring the United States forward within 18 months. So that's an important. Now, the other point I want to talk about is the economic situation. I said that the eye of the storm. Anybody who watches the stock market knows that the Dow Jones, that's the American big stock index, has increased by 20% in less than a year. So it's grown by 20%. That is a huge. In Britain, what we call the FTSE index, that's at an all-time high, nearly 7,200 the last time I looked, and during the crash of 2008 it was down to 5,000. So we've got a situation where the balloon is now to bursting point. And I think just a few days ago in Great Britain, the Daily Express newspaper, a very establishment newspaper, it was the newspaper that leaked a lot of stuff on behalf of the government, actually then has come out and said, look, there's a big crash coming and it'll be as bad as the 1929 Wall Street crash. So the established media are now saying what I and other people are saying. They're actually coming forward. And the question is, why would the establishment do it? And the reason is that they are trying to warn their friends to get the heck out before all their money's lost. So we've got a very, very difficult situation just around the corner. I talked a little bit when Kerry Cassidy did the interview with me. I I said about disclosure, and I'm still fairly confident that we will get a disclosure this year. The reason for that is that I have, through a third party, had a conversation with the person who is going to make the disclosure. and I've been invited to a meeting early next month to meet the person, to understand a little bit more clearly about what's going to happen. And this person is going to make a statement that X and Y are in communication with real alien entities. Now that is slated in for this year, and I have got a meeting with this guy. So there is a lot happening, and when you look at all the dots and you draw them all together, you can see that one is not separate from another. We have the financial situation, we have a strong alien technology infusion or injection into this world coming just around the corner. We've got disclosure bubbling under the lid here, and that's because and if anybody is bothered to look back 5 or 6 years ago, I did an interview with Miles Johnson, and in fact actually it was the very first interview that I and Wynne Keach did together, I believe, and it was in the house that I am in, and we both, independently of each other, both said 2016, 2017, absolutely crucial for the planet. And I've never wavered from that. And look over the last 6 months, the amount of things that have occurred here. And I always said we mustn't be fearful. We've got to be strong, because we have to go through this. So this is the eye of the storm. If things seem quiet, they are. But it doesn't mean that, it's all freewheeling. And the last thing I want to say, before I say thank you to people who very kindly donated, I'm still getting rather upset with people who say that all the bad guys have been locked up, all the reptilians have been kicked off the planet, everything's fine. If everything was fine, we still wouldn't be slaves, debt slaves. We still wouldn't. We wouldn't have the control system the way it is. The reason the control system is still in place is because there are some of these guys still with their hand on the lever. I agree that a number of people have secretively been terminated. Some people have left the planet. Some people have left and gone into retirement. But the reality is that there's still quite a strong group who have their hand on the tiller. And whilst most of the reptilians have indeed left the planet, there is still quite a sizable group of them in Antarctica and a couple of other places. So please, use your discernment. When someone says to you, everything's fine, everyone's locked up, you just got to look around you and think, well, no, that's not the case. So I need to thank people. One